We've got a huge audience of amazing wedding photographers. And yes, we are joining you live from a 13th century castle in France. And I am so excited to have you guys all on. Hey, good to see you, Felinda, messaging us from Italy. That's fantastic. Great to see you guys. And if you guys have any questions within today's webinar, make sure to ask them in the Q&A section on the on Zoom here, and that way we can get to each and every one of your questions. All right, and good to see some familiar faces. We have El Noor. I'm excited to see you and can't wait to welcome you to this fabulous castle. Good to see you, Carl Wu. We just had a great opportunity to do some epic photography down in Virginia. We did some incredible stuff down there together. And we've got a bunch of new faces on today, which I love to see. All right, guys, we're going to have a really epic live webinar right here from Massiat-en-Cambrai in central France. We're just about a few hours from Paris. We're about also a few hours from Switzerland, and also about 3 hours from Italy. So it's kind of in a really awesome centralized location. And it's going to be pretty fantastic to bring you guys and showcase what destination wedding photography is all about, and especially, you know, some secrets to it and what we can do to help you maximize and take your wedding photography, your destination wedding photography, to the highest level. So that's essentially what we're going to be going in depth with today. And I'm excited to kind of go through and even bring on some panelists to talk about some of these strategies. You know, locations like this at this castle, this is a high budget, world-class luxury wedding experience. So as you can see, I'm here live from the castle, and this is a fantastic, epic destination wedding experience. This is, you know, essentially $1 million to $3 million weddings here, and we are hosting them. I'm actually the owner. I'm Kevin Michael Schmitz. I'm director, producer, and host of the TV show Great Escapes that airs on CBS, and I'm also a celebrity fashion photographer. But in my entire career, I've done a lot of amazing things photographically, including I've done destination wedding photography. I've done wedding photography at the highest level. And I'm here to also talk about what you can do to take your destination wedding photography and catapult to the highest echelon of the field. Because I talk to wedding photographers every day, and they tend to just, you know, oh man, they're frustrated. They don't get the type of bookings that they want. They would dream to go to a 13th century 49-room castle in France with all expenses taken care of, and to be able to get hired and paid $20,000 to photograph an epic wedding, and to go and shoot this unbelievable event where everything, no expense is spared. Every expense is just, I mean, it's over the top. Everything from the food with Michelin star chefs to, you know, the bride and groom landing on a private jet into Paris and then taking a helicopter out to the front courtyard. And every moment of that wedding being captured by our amazing wedding photographers. So if you guys are a wedding photographer and you want to get really into destination weddings, I'm here to help you guys. I'm here to guide you and give you some kind of some secret sauce as far as what you're going to need to be able to take it to the highest level, to be able to be that world-class, sought-after wedding photographer that is booking those $10,000 to $20,000 per wedding photo shoots, and to be able to travel to the most amazing destinations around the world. And take it from me, I'm a daily travel host on Great Escapes on CBS, and I am a specialist in travel destination photography, and also in coaching photographers and helping photographers achieve their dreams, achieve their goals, and be able to take their photography and their photographic dreams to the highest level of their potential. So guys, I know that many of you, you know, are thinking, okay, that's awesome, and that's this great place and everything, but what is the secret? What's the secret sauce? You know, what about being a destination wedding photographer? How do you take it to the highest level? What does it take? You know, what are the secrets to being able to land those dream opportunities that you've always wanted to do? Right. And that's really key and critical. And it's something that I want to reveal to you during the course of this webinar. And first of all, I'm going to be launching a whole series of surveys and polls about what type of photography you guys do, you know, and all aspects of questions. And I would encourage you guys to participate and answer the questions that we're asking. And the first is what type of photography do you shoot? Are you a wedding photographer? You know, and it's okay to mark multiple categories because I know a lot of you might shoot portraits, you might shoot weddings, you might shoot fashion, maybe do boudoir, whatever. Put on there what it is that you do, you know, and also even if it's something that you really wanted to do. So maybe you're a wedding photographer and you really want to also get into shooting fashion photography, which I have a lot of you guys on here who you know, they do weddings, but they also dabble in fashion photography and they want to do that at the highest level. And that's awesome. So go ahead and put that. And I'd be very curious to know. So everybody, please, you know, answer in the survey that we just listed out in the polls. I'd love to hear from you. What type of photography do you guys do? And also, what type of photography do you want to do? Very, very important. And that way, you know, I can help guide you, and also my team of expert photographic consultants can also help coach you along the way. And it looks like we have a lot of international visitors to this. We don't just have photographers here in California, but we also have here in America, but we also have photographers that are joining us from California, joining us from Italy, joining us from France. And there's a lot of great questions here. So and also by the way, Jeanette Burton, you asked, considering buying a castle in France, any advice? And please, guys, put the questions in the Q&A so everybody can see them. I appreciate that. But yeah, in Jeanette, great question. I know it's a little bit off topic because we're going in depth about wedding photography. But any advice on that? First of all, there are a lot of fabulous castles all over Europe, but most of them are not really suitable for living and enjoying. A lot of them take a lot of a huge amount of work, and you really got to live there full time, and you have to invest millions of dollars to get it up to par. So if you are going to buy a castle in France, like I did, I recommend that you buy one that is ready to go. One that is fully furnished. Mine was fully furnished, all 49 rooms, and also one that has a really high-level new roof. So even though this is a 750-year-old castle built in the 1200s, a brand new roof was put on within the last 10 years, and which was like a $600,000 investment from the prior owner. So they had put some money into it, made the roof really amazing, and it's a grade 1 castle. So the quality of it and the sustainability of it is fantastic. It's 5-foot thick stone walls. Thing is going to be here forever, and it's a spectacular castle, and the inside is essentially, we're designing the inside to look like the Palace of Versailles. So the inside is absolutely going to be jaw-dropping and ridiculous and over the top. So you guys want to make sure that when you are choosing one, make sure that it is a world-class one. It's one that's not going to require much. So you want to spend a little bit more, actually a lot more, and get a good one, a good quality one, and one that you can really invest yourself into. And also, by the way, just as another off-topic thing, but I'm going to be filming 2 of my TV shows here while I'm here in France, from another episode of Great Escapes here, featuring it at my castle, which is awesome. And then also we're going to be featuring a TV show called Buying Abroad that we're going to be filming for Bravo. So that's really exciting, and I can't wait to start doing that throughout the summer, which is going to be epic. And also, guys, you know, in addition to this destination wedding photography webinar here located at the castle, we're also going to be joining, you guys are going to be joining us from the Maldives in a few weeks, and we're going to be filming in the Maldives for more that we're filming as travel destination photography and video that we're going to be launching from there. And I encourage you guys to join us live from the Maldives as well. So it's going to be fantastic. We've done these in the past and everyone loves them. All right, guys. So I want to kind of reveal some of these secrets. Now, a lot of photographers, they wonder, okay, what sets you apart? Why are why is, this photographer getting booked on these $20,000 shoots to go and travel to places like a castle in France to photograph a wedding when another photographer is not getting booked on that? Okay. And the real reason is that the photographers that are getting booked on these high-end shoots, they have branded themselves properly. They are branding themselves at the highest level. And what I mean is when you are a bride, put yourself in the shoes of a bride who's coming here, spending $1 million, maybe $2 million, maybe even $3 million on their wedding. These are high profile clients, right? These are clients that, are, extremely wealthy. They oftentimes have their own private jet. They are, they're looking for the top high end experience and also the most high level photographers. Okay. So if that is the case and you are talking to one of those brides or a wedding planner that represents those brides, what are they looking for? Okay. Well, what are they looking at? That's what I want you guys to remember. You're a photographer. So think about creatively, what are these brides looking at? Okay. So they're looking at a few different things. They are looking every single day, and I'm sure that you guys can attest to this. Okay. Every single day, what is a bride going to be looking at? They're going to be looking at bridal magazines. That's what they're going to be looking at. They're going to be getting inspired and they're looking at bridal magazines, maybe even fashion magazines too. Maybe even Vanity Fair and Vogue as well, but they're often looking at bridal magazines. Okay. So I want you to think about this. So if these brides that are doing these high profile, and it doesn't even have to be $1 million wedding. It could be even a couple $100,000 wedding where they're doing a high profile wedding abroad and they're doing some fabulous thing down in the Caribbean, or they're going to the Maldives or Bora Bora or a French castle or, a villa in Italy or, whatever. Every day a bride is looking at bridal magazines because they're noticing them. They're picking them off the stands at the supermarkets. They're looking at bridal magazines because they want to be inspired. Okay, I just Googled bridal magazines and what comes up? Every single cover is either a celebrity or a top fashion model. So you have supermodels and you have celebrities on the covers. Okay, that's what you're competing with. So if you want to do high level destination wedding photography, well, I got news for you. You've got some serious competition because you are not just competing against other photographers that do destination wedding photography. No, you're also competing against the greatest high-end photographers in the world that are getting published on the cover of bridal magazines with supermodels and celebrities. Right? So that's really important to realize. And if that's the case, then why aren't you doing the same? Now, even if you're not getting published all the time in bridal magazines, and it could be The Knot or Brides or Elegant, whatever it is, if you guys, even if you're not currently getting published, at least develop a portfolio of wedding photography that appears like it has been published, like it can be on the cover of these magazines. This is one of the top, most important things that I stress for wedding photographers. If you want to be competing at the highest level, then you have to literally shoot content at the highest level. Because I can tell you what, if you just have a run-of-the-mill average wedding photography website and you make the mistake of putting your clients on your website and your portfolio, you already are behind the game. And you might ask me, oh, but Kevin, that's all I shoot. That's all I have. I just have the clients I've shot. Or maybe my new clients want to see that I've shot normal people. I got news for you. That's not the case. They are looking at these brides every day. They are looking at the cover of these magazines. So for them, these high profile clients, and I'm not talking about just the $1 million clients, even the clients that are spending a couple $100,000 or $100,000 on their wedding, they're still looking at this. Even low end brides that are, hiring a photographer for a few thousand a day, they are also looking at these bridal magazines. So just realize this is your competition. It's not the other photographers out there. It's these magazines. It's the perception of what these brides think they can be. No matter who they are, no matter how attractive they are or not, you are competing with this because this is their perception. So it's really important, guys, to realize that. And I want you to start thinking bigger. Okay. Now, what a lot of photographers at the high level do is they might stage a photo shoot. They might do a photo shoot that looks like this. Maybe they even do something down the line of a fashion magazine. Right? So if you just covers of fashion magazines, because also these brides are also looking at that. They want to be a supermodel, right? They want to look like this. They want to stage something, just like this. I just staged this at my castle. I photographed this supermodel that we flew in from Germany, and we shot her in front of the castle. We brought in 2 epic horses. We brought in, I think this was like a $15,000 wedding dress. We brought in floral arrangements. We had, we even brought in the groom. We brought in another male model to join her. And we had some couple sequences, but we created this scene that looks like it's real. And it can compete at the highest level with bridal magazines, right? So I've got this amazing location and I own it. So I want to bring in these $1 million clients, right? But I also know that my clients are going to be looking at the photography. It's not just about the destination. They also want world-class wedding photography. So I'm going to be marketing that, right? We're going to be marketing the fact that you can book a photographer. In fact, what we're also doing, we have a program where we're going to be incorporating the opportunity for photographers, just like you guys all on this webinar right now. If you want to bring a client to the table that wants to do their fabulous wedding at a 49-room 13th century palace in France, then guess what? You come to the table, we can offer you a massive photographer fee for that and a commission to bring those clients to the table. And we're doing that because that's how this industry works, especially at the highest level. Because another secret, guys, just being a great photographer and having a great portfolio is sometimes not enough. We need to partner with wedding planners that are doing this, high profile wedding planners, and offer them a kickback to make sure that they are bringing their clients to you as a photographer or to that destination. This is what happens every day in this industry. And it sounds great, word of mouth and referrals and marketing yourself. And that's all great and all. But when the rubber meets the road, the real key is also offering some incentives. So if that, wedding photographer or a wedding planner comes in and says, hey, you know what, John, I'd like to, I deal with these high profile clients all the time. What makes you different as a photographer? And you can respond and say, well, not only do I brand myself as I'm actually a true fashion photographer that happens to shoot weddings rather than not just a regular wedding photographer, I'm a world-class fashion photographer. In fact, take it a step further. I'm an award-winning fashion photographer that happens to shoot weddings, and I've won awards. And for instance, at our epic workshops, our attendees of the photography workshop series are winning awards every day. We are cleaning up in photography awards, just like this. Out of the photography workshop series, just in the last year, we have won 107 photography awards, including 7 of the top 10 fashion photographers in America are from the photography workshop series. Now that's insane. That is absolutely incredible. And it's something that I'm so proud of because these unbelievable award-winning images, even though they're not wedding photography, this type of high profile fashion photography is what is landing these photographers huge opportunities. In fact, if you see the image in the middle here, this one right here, middle left with her running through the water, this image alone, that's award-winning from Nick Seth Smith. He won #7 fashion photographer in America from this. Well, he is a wedding photographer. And he told us, actually came on a couple of our webinars like this and discussed it live, how this image that he shot at our Elite Masterclass in Los Angeles in October won him a $20,000. Not only did it win him an award, but he also booked a $20,000 wedding job off of this image, even though it's not a wedding image, it's a fashion image. But the client was so blown away because they wanted a world-class fashion photographer like Nick that happens to shoot weddings. He'd never done this before. And he came to one of our epic experiences and developed this content that completely makes him stand out above all the rest. And that is what's key and critical. And then you can tell your clients that, hey, I'm an award-winning photographer and I'm a fashion photographer. I just happen to shoot weddings. You see the difference? It completely makes a different perception in a client. And you know what? Those, in addition to being branded as a world-class fashion photographer and getting published, you also need to scratch the back of those wedding planners. And I know a lot of photographers don't like to do that. A lot of photographers are, like, no, I want to be gauged just on the quality of my work. And it's like, okay, great. I mean, that's fine and all. And I understand. I'm like that too. I have integrity and I want to make sure that I'm basing it on that. But you know what? Wedding planners couldn't care less. They couldn't care less about integrity. They just want to make money because that's their job. So if you're showcasing a content like this, even something like this, it's a fashion image, but it also showcases that a woman is wearing a white dress, this supermodel from Vogue. Also, this was shot at our elite masterclass. This is something that really is iconic. It makes somebody just like, oh my gosh, like, are you kidding me? This is epic. This is absolutely epic. This is something that I am falling in love with. I want to be a part of your world. I want to book you. And you know what? If you're offering those higher profile prices, because I have a lot of photographers that are saying, hey, but you know what, Kevin, in my area, my clients aren't going to pay those $10,000, $20,000 a wedding. Okay, no problem. Why are you stuck to your area? I have photographers every day that are talking to me from Arkansas or Oklahoma or Kansas or Michigan, where I'm from. I grew up in a little village of 2,000 people in rural Michigan. But you know what? You don't have to be secluded to those spots. I wasn't. You can brand yourself as an international photographer or even just a national photographer. I'm branded as a New York, LA, Paris photographer. And I happen to reside in LA. I have a castle in France that I can work, as a local here in France. And I work as a local in New York, even though I don't live in New York, but I have a production company in New York and I brand myself as an LA, New York, Paris photographer. Right. And I want you guys to start thinking about that. If you're in some rural area, why not brand yourself nationally? And it's so easy to do. In fact, it's not only easy, it's free. So one of the things that I did, and I did this early on in my career because I did my bachelor's and my MFA to be a professor of photography. And one of the things that I did, I realized this early on. I grew up in West Michigan in a rural village. And I was like, yeah, I grew up in this little town. Nobody knows me. I then moved to San Francisco. I did my bachelor's, my MFA to be a professor of photography. Still, San Francisco, that's a big step up from rural Michigan. But I tell you one thing, San Francisco, it's still a second tier, maybe even third tier market. It's not even though it's a high profile market for weddings. As far as if you guys want to do wedding photography, there are more millionaires and billionaires in Silicon Valley than just about anywhere else outside of, say, Manhattan. In Manhattan and Silicon Valley are literally it. But as far as being respected as a fashion photographer and a lifestyle advertising photographer, it's not as high profile. So what I did was I branded myself as a San Francisco, New York, LA photographer, or better yet, New York, LA, San Francisco photographer. So they felt like I was a New York photographer. And the way that I did this, I just put on my promo cards, I developed like promo pieces. I got a Google Voice number. In fact, this is a few years ago when they had different other than just Google Voice. I had like a Magic Jack, and I had for my New York line, my 646 Manhattan number. And then I had an LA line that was my Google Voice. And both of those lines forwarded in to my cell phone. It was San Francisco. So I had a 415 San Francisco, LA 424, and then I had my New York, my 646 number. And I was a 22-year-old kid, and I looked like a national photographer. And you know what? It worked. A couple of years later, I moved to LA, launched my career, and you know what? I already by the age of 24, I was represented by a national agency representing photographers at AA Reps in New York, a New York agent. And that took me to another level because they felt like I was a national brand. And I want you guys to think about that. Whether you're a wedding photographer, fashion photographer, headshot photographer, portrait photographer, doesn't matter. You could be anywhere in the world. I don't care. You can still do destination photography at least. And that's what this is all about. You don't have to be tied to your local town because you know what? If the client is going to be traveling to Italy, for instance, it doesn't matter if they're flying somebody from Atlanta or if they're flying somebody from New York, it's all the same. It's going to cost the same amount. So it doesn't even matter anymore, especially for destination photography. So start thinking about that. Start branding yourself at a high level because that's absolutely key and important. And start thinking, beyond just the local. Because a lot of people are just thinking local, and I don't want you guys to think in a small-minded way. I want you to think big-minded. I want you to think iconic. I want you to think world-class. I want you to think like, oh my gosh, I want to be at the highest level, and I want to be booking those $10,000 to $20,000 wedding jobs. Why not? Why not? Wedding photography is a lot of work, guys. It is a lot of work. I've done it. I know what it's all about. It is a grind. And a lot of photographers, if you're just, charging a couple $1,000s to do a wedding, say your rates are $2,000. At the end of the day, you're working for pretty much minimum wage. because I know what it takes. All the meetings with the bride, the meetings with the bride's mom, dealing with bridezillas on the day, leading up to it. Maybe you throw engagement pictures in and you're doing the shoot at the wedding, the ceremony, and the reception. And then after all of that, all this hard work, and maybe you're even throwing some money into it by hiring, a second shooter or an assistant. And then after all of that, you've got to now retouch those pictures and then oftentimes provide an album, which is going to take countless hours to retouch them, design the album, put it in the album, and they just aren't going to appreciate how much time and energy. They're just going to complain about price oftentimes, right? So if you're only charging a couple $1,000s to do a wedding, you are just hurting yourself. And I tell you what, you are missing out on so much opportunity. And I get a lot of photographers say, well, but that's all people are going to spend around here. No problem. You don't have to go to those clients. And I can also tell you, in many areas in the United States, there are pockets of wealthy people, even in places you don't expect. Even in Michigan, I grew up in Michigan. There are pockets of very wealthy people in certain areas of West Michigan, like East Grand Rapids, or in the east side of the state, in West Bloomfield or Grosse Pointe. Those people will be spending $10, $12, $15,000 on a wedding. Clients in New York, in Manhattan, they'll be paying $10,000 to $20,000 to do their wedding photography, and they don't think twice about it. So start thinking outside of the box. And even if you're in a rural area or in a state that isn't as high profile and wealthy, there are still pockets of those clientele. And I want you to start thinking about who those clientele are. So another secret of something that I want to reveal, guys, is if you are thinking about getting into high level destination wedding photography, then what I would recommend is, first of all, you need to build this brand. You need to build this portfolio. And as you guys are seeing, like this shoot right here at this epic castle in France, or like the amazing photography that you're seeing on our website of incredible fashion photography, and even fashion bridal looking photography that we've done at our fashion workshops, it's really helped our photographers stand apart from all the rest. Not only photography, but also the video. And we have a lot of wedding photographers that take part in these epic workshops. So if you guys are interested, you've got to be able to build a portfolio at the highest level, and not just with your clients. You got to build a portfolio with top models. In fact, I'd recommend making sure your portfolio is graced with models from Vogue. Why not? Because every day your clients, your dream clients, they're going to be looking at covers of these top magazines, including Vogue, right? So even something like this was from a photographer, Veronica Jankowski, had attended our workshop in New York, and we shot this epic fashion. Oh, it was almost like a fashion bridal story at our New York fashion workshop. And she got the cover of Vintage New York City magazine, and this propelled her wedding high profile photographic career. And this is something that, guys, images like this that are iconic with models from Vogue, like this model right here, these are going to make you stand out. This is going to take you to another level of your photography. So I definitely recommend start thinking big and be able to shoot content like this, where if you showcase this to your clients, it's going to wow and dazzle them. It's going to make them so excited to want to work with you. It's going to allow you the confidence to be able to charge $10,000 to $20,000 to shoot a wedding. Why not? Why not? Okay. So step one is building that brand. And that's what we're here for. That's why I highly recommend getting involved in one of our epic fashion workshops. So for instance, this is our New York experience. We're talking about New York. We also have our Elite Masterclass, which I showed you before. So New York is in September following Fashion Week. So we get all these supermodels in town from Milan and Paris, and we get to shoot at the highest level in New York. And it is unbelievable. The content that we're creating with models that have been in our Armani campaign. In fact, these models right here, they were in the Versace campaign and the Armani campaign and gracing the runways in New York Fashion Week. And we shot this at our New York Fashion Photography Workshop. And this is an epic story. If you brand yourself like this and then showcase this to your wedding clients, it's going to boggle their mind. Okay. But you know what? If you want to shoot high profile stuff, you also have to invest in yourself. You've got to invest in your photography portfolio. It is absolutely key and critical. And if you are not doing that, then you're completely missing the boat. Just like any brand, any brand out there brands themselves by investing in their branding, doing photography, doing video, often hiring photographers to do it. They're investing in their marketing, spending on doing media buys and marketing their brands. You have to do the same thing as a photographer. Don't just rely on your wedding photography with regular clients. You don't want to have that content because that's not what clients are looking for. They want to see this high profile stuff. This is what they want. Okay, guys, really, really important. So stop branding yourself with just your client work and start branding yourself with this kind of world-class content. Now, of course, it's not cheap. If you want to put together a production where you bring in a bride, just like the shoot that I've been showing you, that's the cover shoot for this webinar. This shoot, this is something that costs a huge amount of money to put on. Not only do we shoot at this epic venue, it happens to be my own, so I didn't have to pay for that as far as renting the location because I own the location, but oftentimes I would rent an epic location. Don't just show up and do some spur of the moment thing. Do something well planned, right? Bringing in horses. This is expensive to do. Transporting in horses, having trainers there, bringing in top models that I flew in from Germany, bringing in the florist, bringing in multiple $15,000 wedding dresses. This is not easy. This is expensive, plus all of the equipment. And I'm shooting with Canon R. I'm shooting with gimbals. I'm shooting with R5 cameras, with 8K cameras. I'm shooting with drones. I'm doing this big production. This is expensive and it's complex, but the results speak for themselves. And this is why our epic workshops are such a deal. There's such an incredible savings because even though you're investing in yourself or investing in these workshops, the thing is it's a tiny fraction of the cost as if you were to do and stage this full scale production on your own. So make sure to think about that. The scale of the productions that we're doing, these are $50,000 to $100,000 a day productions. This is from the catering, the wardrobe stylist, the buying the outfits, all of the equipment, the top models, the hair and makeup, wardrobe, styling assistants, production assistants, location fees, permits, all that stuff. It adds up to do it right. So if you want to be branded high level, you've got to develop high level work. And one of my best suggestions for you guys is to jump in and join one of our epic experiences, because just like we have this castle experience, and we have our French castle experience where you actually get to come to the castle and experience to stay at a 49-room palace that's fit for a king, and you'll be able to stay and actually have this. This is our one workshop where we actually include the stay, because you actually stay within the castle. And not only you guys get to have that experience on the first evening, it's a 6-day experience. On the first evening, we're going to have a formal ball with all of the fabulous period piece attire that we actually have for you here at the castle. And we're doing a very like Renaissance to Baroque and Rococo kind of feel. And what we're doing is on the first evening, we actually are having a formal ball, including the photographers attending, if they bring a loved one, and then also with the fashion models. So it's a really incredible experience. That's just on the first evening. And then on the next day, we're going to be shooting a massive scale production at the highest level. And we're going to be photographing and shooting with high-end video content and photography with top models on location at this unbelievable castle. And we're going to be shooting over the course of 4 days of massive scale production. And it is something that is just out of a dream. It's something that is going to be scaled where, I mean, it's just like it's like, oh my gosh, this is out of this world. I'm actually going to show you a raw image just off of the shoot. Something like this. I mean, this is a fairy tale. That's why we actually have branded the castle as our company is actually Fairy Tale Experiences, and the castle is the French Dream Castle, Château de Rêve Français, meaning French Dream Castle in French. So, but having an experience like this is a raw image shot out of camera. It's out of this world. So, and you can even see the raw file there. It's a CR3. So this gives you an idea, though, just the scale of what it is that, that we can shoot. Now, of course, this epic shoot, we have the option to do all kinds of world-class high fashion at the castle with top designers, top stylists, and we're going to be shooting just this unbelievable fashion story. But if you are a wedding photographer and you want to have some white dresses, we can also incorporate that as well into the production, because we cater these experiences to the photographers attending. That's what they're all about. We want to make sure that you're going to create the greatest images of your lifetime. In fact, this is a little video clip that we shot during this experience, and it is unbelievable.
Chateau de Rêve Français is one of the most incredible, elegant, and over-the-top greatest. This 49-room castle is fit for a king. Right to the front park, spiral tower, this
And I want to make sure that you guys are going to have this experience of a lifetime, because this production and the level and the experience and the unbelievable castle itself is so world class. It's going to just completely take your breath away. But having content like this is the secret to world class, high level bridal fashion destination photography. There's nothing more high profile than going to a 49-room castle in France and doing something like this. So this is a huge, huge key, but it definitely is an investment. So I recommend, I would love if you guys wouldn't mind take some time to answer the questions, the survey that we have on there. What would be your budget to invest in your photography? As far as investing in a photographic portfolio shoot to brand your high-end wedding photography, or to invest in one of these world-class photographic workshops that is going to be a fraction of the cost of you doing it on your own. And the best part is you're going to work with me because I have connections at the highest level where I can work with you, and I can make sure that you are going to connect with my world-class models, my world-class stylists, my unbelievable production teams that are award-winning, winning 107 awards this year with the photography workshop series, all directed by me and shot by my attendees. These are all shot by attendees, guys. This is incredible. And I want to make sure you guys are going to do the same, because we don't let you leave and shoot until you shoot the greatest images of your lifetime. It is absolutely key. It's important. And I want to make sure you guys are achieving the kind of success that you've always wanted to have. It's extremely important. All right, guys. And now with another secret I have to high level destination wedding photography is I want you guys to start thinking about, okay, what would be the best destination for a bride? What are the most popular ones, right? What are these popular destinations for a bride? Start thinking about that, and even start branding yourself towards those destinations to those certain clients. Like, for instance, a popular destination for destination wedding photography would be Hawaii. It would be the Caribbean, going to the Bahamas, and then a high profile one for a high level clientele would be Bora Bora. It would be the Maldives, and it would be something like Paris or a fabulous castle in France. These are the kind of high profile destinations and that you need to start thinking about. So if that's the case, start coupling with locations, start working with those destinations and working with them to maybe bring clients to the table of those places, and maybe packaging yourself with those destination wedding packages. Now, oftentimes the locations are going to have their own in-house photographers, but it is worth, building relationships with them anyway, and even more so, building relationships with the wedding planners. That's something that is a key prerogative, and it's something I would highly recommend, because you know what? If you build those relationships with those wedding photographers, they are those wedding planners, they're the ones, they are the gateway into it. And I know a lot of photographers say, oh, I don't really want to deal with wedding planners or hassle. Well, I'll tell you what, the wedding planners, if you're going to be working with clients that are going to be doing high level destination luxury events like this and spending $1 million, you better believe they're going to hire a wedding planner. And that wedding planner is going to want to be paid not only 10 to 15% from their client, but they're also going to want to be paid from their vendors. And that's the kind of dirty little secret about all this stuff. You've got to do some payback to them. And if you're booking, say, a $10,000 wedding to do a destination wedding, pass back 15%. Maybe you give them $1,500 of that back to that wedding planner. And, package that into your deal. When you contact them and you build a relationship, don't just market yourself as the wedding photographer that, hey, I want to have work. Package yourself as a world-class fashion photographer that just happens to shoot weddings, and you offer huge advantages to going with you. Not only do you offer the best world-class level of quality in your photography, and you can create all those amazing moments, but maybe packaging something else. Oftentimes, a lot of photographers miss that boat. Maybe offering an engagement section. Okay, engagement session's okay. What if you offered a world-class fashion shoot? Oh, like maybe a bridal shoot, maybe something like this production here. Maybe something just like this, where you are staging a wedding fashion story before the actual wedding, and you package this into your deal. Maybe this is something a little special. Maybe we do a high profile fashion engagement shoot that they could use for their invitations, that they do long before or leading up to that amazing wedding. That's another idea. This is something that a lot of photographers that do high profile stuff, this is a really special idea that you can bill for because it's something that's, adding value. That's what we're doing. Another thing, add value with video. Maybe you film like a video film, just like you see here, like a little wedding bridal film to get their audience excited. Maybe they can put this on their website, when they're inviting their clients or they're inviting their guests, but making sure that the client is getting as much value as possible. Also, a lot of wedding photographers, they don't want to do video. They're like, no, that's a different team. I just do the photography. Guys, you have got to do this. You have got to include video in your wedding packages. Even if you don't shoot video, totally fine. What I recommend is coupling with either doing it yourself and hiring a videographer, or you couple with a high level video production company that does high level bridal videos. And that might be a great place to start if you don't have any clue with video. But if you do have some experience, I would definitely recommend packaging the video side of it as well, because oftentimes that can be as much or even more than the wedding photography, because video is expensive, right? And that way, instead of making $10,000 on a wedding, you're making $20,000 on a wedding doing the photography and the video. This is something that I learned early on, and I started really transitioning into doing high-level video and doing high-level and for my fashion and commercial productions. So instead of just being a photographer, and now I work as a commercial advertising photographer, but I also shoot as a commercial director. And this is something that I market myself in the last couple of months, and I've got another one coming up where I've been shooting campaigns for Burberry. And shooting campaigns, I've got another one that I just bid on for Giorgio Armani. I've shot a couple of campaigns just recently for Burberry, and it's because I offer video. That's what they wanted, and that's fantastic. And the budgets are huge. We're talking anywhere from $42,000 to $250,000, maybe even $500,000 on some of the jobs. The recent ones, though, I did a recent one for Burberry that was a $42,000 shoot, and it took me 2 hours. If you want to shoot clients like that, if you want to shoot for high profile clients, that's also something we can help you with. If it's not just destination weddings you want to work with, I specialize in working with world-class photographers that want to be a top fashion photographer, lifestyle advertising photographer, or if you want to do high-level bridal photography, I can help you with that. Portrait photography, destination travel photography, shooting for resorts like I do all the time in the Maldives, Bora Bora for my TV show, all of that. But guys, these are some of the key secrets and strategies to being a world-class, successful bridal destination photographer. And I want to help you every step of the way. So some of these secrets can be revealed, but you know what? You also need to definitely invest in yourself. It is so important to invest in your photographic body of work and your video reel, because if you don't, you're going to be stuck. And if all you're doing is marketing yourself with the content that you currently have that's shot with clients, that's not going to cut it, guys. It's just not going to cut it. You've got to take it up to the next level. It is absolutely key and critical. And by the way, in the poll here, the results, and it looks like a lot of you guys do invest in yourself, but maybe not as much as you should. I'd recommend, more on the $15,000 to $20,000 realm. A lot of you guys don't invest in yourself enough. And I tell you what, if you don't invest in yourself, your photography isn't going to catapult to the top. I invest a huge amount into my business. I spend at least $80,000 to $100,000 a year in my branding and my marketing of my photography business. And that includes attending seminars. It includes developing my portfolio. It includes, and video reels. It includes my marketing and social and getting my stuff out there. And I spend, oftentimes 6 figures doing that. And maybe you guys don't have to spend that much, but definitely invest in yourself more than you are, because you are worth it. And the best way to start earning money, especially, right now that, the economy has been brutal. The stock market has been just in an absolute chaos and collapse. And I tell you what, the best thing for you guys is cash flow through your photography business. But you've got to invest in your photography business to be able to get that kind of cash flow constantly. And that's key. If you're regularly getting these big jobs, you're going to be set up so much better for the rest of your life. It's absolutely key. Now, I would love to bring on an amazing panelist, the great Priscilla Evans. She is my production coordinator with the photography workshop series. And also, she was production coordinator with this epic bridal shoot that you guys were just watching. She actually coordinated those unbelievable $7,000 to $15,000 wedding dresses with amazing wedding gown designers, coordinated these fabulous horses. And she's an expert, but she also works with me at these unbelievable high profile fashion photography and lifestyle workshops that we do all over the world. And she is a genius when it comes to that. But more importantly, Priscilla is an expert at coaching photographers, to take it to the highest level of their potential. And if you guys want to set up a one-on-one dedicated momentum session after this with one of my professional photographic consultants, I have a team. They are amazing. It's totally free, and you can jump on with them and speak with them about your photography and achieving your goals in photography at the highest level. They would love to devote some time to you for free to help coach you and guide you every step of the way. So Priscilla, I'd love for you to jump on and talk to us a little bit about destination photography, why it's important, and maybe tell us why it's important to develop a portfolio at the highest level, and why the workshop series would be a great opportunity to do something like that.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, Kevin. It's a gorgeous evening where I am in rural France, and it's an amazing location. Destination weddings are definitely like the hot in thing right now. People are getting back into travel. People are desperate to travel. I'm Australian, so we got pretty shafted during COVID, and definitely Australians are just like desperate and itching to get out there. And a lot of them have delayed weddings until they can travel, you know, for the sole purpose of being able to host a wedding and share an amazing experience at a place like this. So yeah, basically we get to, and I get to be a part of some incredible productions. And this one here, I mean, for starters, I mean, destination photography, if that's the goal, if that's where, you know, you're aiming for, and what you're aiming to be able to do with your wedding photography business, then you've got to be able to showcase that in your brand. And trust me, putting on a shoot, like Kevin was saying, a lot of, you know, photographers might put on shoots themselves and kind of, you know, do something to be able to showcase what they can do in terms of, you know, developing that portfolio. Doing that overseas is a totally different beast. So if you're aiming to be able to, you know, showcase destination wedding photography in that portfolio, trust me, it is not something you can do alone. You have got to be able to work with a team. And, you know, for no other reason than that, I'd say come and have a chat with us, because it's a totally different beast, you know, different cultures, different times of year. And of course, just, you know, the chaos of every production and the logistics involved in a production. It's amazing what we can do and the things that we can do overseas, but it's a huge amount of planning. So, you know, the kinds of productions that we are going to do at the castle and here in France are just going to be mind blowing. There's a lot of surprises that are already sort of getting talked about and confirmed for future workshops that we're going to be doing over here. But yeah, it's just a gorgeous place. So I'd really recommend definitely, you know, connecting with us and having a chat about that if you're aiming to be a destination wedding photographer. But, you know, a lot of what I do is actually talking with photographers at all different levels. You know, we're talking here about a pretty high-end level of your photography. And, you know, for a lot of photographers, you're starting out, you know, I'd get to talk to the full scope of photographers, everyone from the photographer that would love to aspire to do this someday, but has no idea how to make it happen, all the way through to the photographers that are doing it right now. So, you know, the biggest thing is just making sure, like Kevin was saying, you know, wedding photography is one of those parts of the industry that photographers get so burnt out in. And I talk to a lot of photographers, and generally I'd say that if you're a young photographer in the industry, by young, I'd probably say anyone like under the age of 40 who's doing it. Generally, there's still excited and there's energy, but beyond that point, if you've done it for a few years, maybe you've done it for a decade or two, you're starting to get pretty burnt out. And if it's, you know, beyond there, honestly, 99% of the time, the story that I'm hearing is, I never want to shoot a wedding again. And that's really sad, because there's so much money to be made in it, and there's so much fun to be had with it, not to mention, you know, the destination wedding experience that can involve your clients paying you to travel to these amazing locations and to shoot their weddings. And it's a, it's a different scale. It's not the stressful necessarily, stressful, huge amount of post work and work during the day for such little pay. I think that, if it's going to be that much work, let's have you, paid what your value should be and what your worth is. So, I really like that about destination wedding photography. I think that you're dealing with different clients, and as a result, you've got to market yourself a different way to land those different clients. You're not looking at the kind of clients that are currently finding you the way they're currently finding you. You've got to find new ways to approach this new type of client. And I think that can be, a little bit of a scary thing, especially like Kevin was saying, if you're in a rural area or if you're in somewhere, maybe located somewhere that doesn't necessarily attract the super high price point weddings. But, think about it. And it's really worth thinking about the numbers here, about what you're charging currently and what your life and logistics of your life would look like if you could charge somewhere around the $10,000 to $15,000 point for a wedding regularly. How many less weddings you'd have to shoot to be able to make the same numbers you're making now, and what that would look like as far as, how to land those and what changes you've got to make to basically make that happen. So, something, and I know there's a photographer on at the moment, Crystal, who might be jumping on as well. And she's an amazing wedding photographer that we've been working together for a while now. And, we've talked a lot about, strategies, and we're getting into it now that she's got this incredible portfolio ready to showcase. But a lot of the strategies when it comes to marketing yourself to a different type of clientele, these are strategies that you've really got to think outside the box for. And it's a very different type of pitch. It's not the putting yourself on the knot or, Wedding Wire, one of those pay to play services where you're basically one of 1,000 or maybe 10,000 photographers on there. And you're just hoping that someone picks you. What in reality, what's going to happen, and I'm sure what happens to all your photographers that are on there, is you get that standard message, hey, love to talk to you about your photography, what do you charge? And for a fact they're sending that same message to 20, 30 photographers they've found on there, and they're playing a numbers game, and that's not your ideal client. So why pay for that service? Instead, why not think about doing something outside the box, like approaching the top wedding locations in your area, or maybe outside that area, the most elite kind of bougie vineyards or, hotels and the places that have got the grand ballrooms. Why not approach them? And instead of saying something like, I'd love to work for you, which is more of the, from my perspective, I guess I kind of call it like the begging way of approaching it. It's like, I'd love to do something with you. Why not approach them with a value add, something that you can bring to the table and get them excited so that they are actually the ones begging to work with you. So, for someone like Crystal, for example, who's got this incredible portfolio, perfect strategy for her that we've talked about, is to go and approach some of these locations, incredible locations that, they get the clients that are at the level that, you might be aiming for, approaching that kind of location and saying, I charge $15,000 for the weddings, bring that incredible portfolio with you so that you've got something to wow and dazzle them with, but offering them a kickback. And I'm not just talking like a little, I could, I charge, $2,000 for my wedding, so I could give you like a $200 kickback. I'm talking like a real kickback. So if you're charging 15 grand, or you want to be charging that, let's offer them a 5 grand kickback. And trust me, the whole wedding industry is about that. Everyone's basically working together based off kickbacks and incentives and referrals, and I'll work with you if I can bring this person on. So it works like that. And if you can put yourself in a position to offer more than someone else out there right now, that's enough for them to go with you. So, if you want to be the premier photographer for, an amazing location that brings in the type of clients that you want, how about instead of trying to hunt directly for the clients, go to the locations that are getting those clients, go to the other vendors that are approaching and are getting approached by those top tier clients and set up partnerships with them. Kevin mentioned wedding planners. There's so many other vendors you can do the same thing with. So that's something I really like. And I like that I like it for a few reasons. I like it that it separates you. You're not now one of 1,000 photographers. You're actually developing that relationship. And I think, if you can maximize that, do that with 20 locations. Look at and just imagine, where you could be. So that's the kind of marketing strategies that I like to focus on, the ones that are very individualized the ones that are developing a personal relationship, but most importantly, where you're bringing value to them, as opposed to the, hey, I'd love to work with you, approach. And some of those, generic lines that we hear a lot all the time. And, oh, I'd love to do this or that. How about you bring value to them? What can you do to make life, easier and develop their business more? And I think if you can do that with the vendors in this particular industry, it's a huge advantage, that you'll be putting yourself ahead with. So why not do that? And certainly it takes having a brand first. You want to walk in the door feeling really confident with something that's totally worth showcasing. So yeah, there's some of my top tips, but there's so many. I love talking about this stuff and I love getting into the nitty gritty of it. So by all means, if anyone is on here and has a goal of, ending up in this industry in a big way, or just making it more worth their while and not ending up as the burnt out photographer, then by all means reach out. Our team is really, really excellent. We are very generous with our time and we'd love to jump on always for free and discuss your business and your goals and how to maybe make that happen a little faster.
Excellent. Priscilla, why don't you tell us about, like, you mentioned a few really smart strategies here. Why don't you tell me a little bit about the portfolios that have been shot at our workshops and how that has changed the lives of some of the photographers that you work with?
Oh yeah, I mean, the portfolios, I mean, that's really, it's step number one. All those things that I was just talking about, that's step really 2, 3, 4, and 5. Step number one is having a killer brand. You only get one chance to make a first impression, so it better be damn good. And especially with these locations, they are going to be more judgy than the average, and they're going to be, very picky, very selective, and you want to only be showcasing the best. Be very critical of that portfolio. It's only as strong as its weakest image. The images are only as strong as the quality of the models in them, especially, when you're approaching locations like this. We're talking about locations that have had, plenty of top tier photography shot at those locations. They've probably already invested a lot themselves in their marketing of those locations, in the form of basically the same level of photography that we do at the workshops. I'm talking 5-6 figure a day type of productions. That's what those locations that are bringing in, for example, we shot last year in Chicago at a ballroom there, and the ballroom itself, one of the ballrooms within the location, which Kevin can remind me of the name, in Chicago, but basically one ballroom in this venue is rented out. This is ballroom alone, not including the food, nothing else, for $50,000, for a wedding. That's a few hours sometimes. So, sometimes they're even fitting multiple weddings into the same day in that ballroom. So these locations are investing a lot in their photography and in their marketing. You've got to do the same and put yourself at the same level. You're now one of the vendors. You've got to be able to do and present yourself in the way that you're going to, have clients wanting themselves showcased. So, this is the type of, in fact, this is it. This kind of photography and videography. Also with the video, don't be too afraid of it. It's not something that you necessarily have to do yourself. You do have to offer it on your website, and you've got to, like Kevin was saying, it's one of those things, it's a kind of do or die these days. You're turning away way too many clients, more than you would probably even know, if you're not offering it and you don't have a video reel on the website. So, put one up there. It doesn't mean you have to do it on the day. You can bring on a videographer, mark up for video, and take a piece of video, so it's a great way to add value, but you've got to be that, showcase with your marketing that you can offer both. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a crazy day where you're doing both the photography and videography by yourself. And if you're charging between 10 and 15 grand, you can easily bring on a videographer and still be walking away with a nice piece of that pie. So yeah, definitely this is the kind of photography you need to have. If you're not sure what your portfolio says and where it kind of positions you, it's another great reason to jump on with us, because it can be hard to look at it yourself and see it, objectively. It really can be. And, sometimes you might see all the work that went into a production, but at the end of the day, that end result, is it worth showing that, or is it worth just, going with something fresh? And more often than not, fresh content with top supermodels, consistency throughout. And I think as well, something I was looking at with that, bridal magazine Google search that Kevin did, a lot of the photography on there, something that's really good to note here, and I counted about 50% of the images on that magazine search 50% were on location. Now that's specifically for a magazine, but I would recommend even more in your portfolio because it brings more value to the table. And by on location, I'm talking about basically not, a studio background. So that's something as well that particularly with weddings, you can't be showcasing some, just studio. I would be showcasing predominantly on location content in that portfolio, multiple model scenes, and being able to showcase the best of the best is what will land you it. And it will honestly be the reason for you to either land it, or at the end of the day, it'll be the reason why you don't land that job. Is a lot of that is what you're showing about yourself, what the brand says about you, what the content. I mean, this is purely visual. It's a purely visual industry, and it's at this point, the wedding photography and how to choose a good photographer. It's a purely, visual selection, especially for the, the clients where budget is really not a question for them. If you're aiming for higher tier clients, like Kevin is saying, these are the kind of clients where their time is a lot more important to them than their money. So that, debate over the $12,000 package as opposed to the 15, not relevant. It's about what's in the portfolio and how impressive it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And Priscilla brings up a really good point where it's about, what's impressive, what's going to wow and dazzle them. I mean, we're looking at some iconic images here, and these are shot by photographers like Enoch Chan, who's attended multiple workshops with us and has done a one-on-one and has won in the photography awards. And being a world-class top photographer, award-winning photographer, takes you to another level. So Priscilla's guidance is brilliant. And this is something that I really want you guys to start thinking about, because all these little strategies, they really make a difference in the end. It'll separate you from everybody else and allow you to become one of those world-class, sought-after photographers. Priscilla, I love the comment you made about, instead of just being, hey, I'm begging you for the job, and hey, maybe I hope you'll book me kind of thing, to making them seek you out. And it's all about psychology. And it's a brilliant, brilliant tactic. And I absolutely love that. And I want all of you guys to listen to Priscilla. So if you guys want any more guidance on this, please set up a photographic strategy session with Priscilla or Vincent or Al or Ann or any of our team members. And we can jump on and actually talk personally with one of our team, and they can give you guidance and advice in depth about your specific photographic journey. And I put the link in the chat for everyone to see. Go ahead and click on that link, and it is to set up a photographic momentum session, totally free. You can jump on Zoom, and if you talk to one of our consultants, they can dedicate some time to you, your portfolio, and how to achieve your goals. So thank you so much, Priscilla. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for all the magic that you're making happen.
Oh, you're so welcome. And yeah, I'd love to definitely talk with as many photographers as they want to jump on. There's so much guidance, so many different tips, and it's all dependent on, the specifics of your own business. So, everyone's different, and every brand looks different, and everyone has different goals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the images you guys see here, Priscilla was helped with all the production coordination of these in New York, out in the Hamptons and out in New York. I mean, and this is where a lot of our wedding photographers come and enroll in this workshop, because it's kind of in that vein, but it's fashion. So it kind of works really, really well because it's so over the top and ridiculous. And this is what the really high profile clients fall in love with. So excellent work with all of this. And thank you so much, Priscilla. All right, guys. So these are just some examples of some mind-blowing content that is iconic, that does book high-level clientele, whether you want to shoot for Burberry or Dolce & Gabbana or Giorgio Armani, or whether you just want to shoot bridal photography at the highest level and you want to create content that is going to really make somebody wowed and dazzled, and you want to show them something that they're just like, oh my gosh, like you are an iconic photographer and you are a world-class fashion photographer that just happens to shoot weddings. This definitely takes it to another echelon. So if you want to create content like this, or, for that matter, creating iconic images that are award-winning, and more importantly than all, creating content at our unbelievable castle here in France, we are excited to work with you, because this will take you to the highest echelon. Building a body of work like this is absolutely critical. And by the way, I just want to make a comment here. You guys put up answer the survey about how much you charge for your weddings, and this is really interesting. You guys are charging, most of you, $2,000. Okay. And some of you up to 7,000, nobody above 7,000. That is absolutely crazy to me. Crazy to me, guys. You've got to start charging more for what you're doing. You are valuable. You are worth it. And it is a lot of work. I know it's a lot of work. I've done it. And I know the value of who you are as a photographer. And you know what? You deserve more. So I'm telling you that you definitely can charge more. You just have to step it up with your brand. Okay. You've got to step it up. You got to start getting into those $10,000 to $20,000 wedding jobs, because they are out there, and instead of grinding it out and shooting, 40 weddings a year, but it's only $2,000 a wedding. And at the end of the day, you're not making much after all of the time, energy, and effort, and also having a second shooter and all the retouching and the albums and everything. Imagine, even if you weren't shooting 50, but you were shooting, say, 25 weddings, but you were making, 15 to 20,000 a wedding, will change your life. That's what I'm here to help you do. And I know that you guys are capable of it. So let's make this happen. But I love hearing from you guys. I love doing these, these awesome webinars to jump on and actually hear from you. And also, I want to hear from you. How likely would you guys want to enroll in one of these epic experiences? Would you want to come to this castle? Do you want to photograph with me in France? Do you want to go to the New York Fashion Workshop coming up in September following Fashion Week with supermodels in town from Paris and Milan? Or would you want to come to our Elite Masterclass, which is our most over-the-top, massive scale production of the year, and create iconic images that will completely stand apart from everything else out there, and be a photographer where your photography is on another planet as far as quality, production, and level of being iconic. In fact, these images I'm about to show you, we just got published. We got published in number 8 magazine from our Elite Masterclass. In fact, we featured, I think, 8 of our photographers, including a photographer, Mike Weilet, who got the back cover, our photographer, Lance Andrews, who got the front cover. They both attended workshops, and the images they shot at the workshops, just like you see here, got published in number 8 magazine that came out this month. And they got the front cover, back cover, and 2 massive editorials on the inside. Unbelievable story. And the images shot at the masterclass are without question some of the most epic. Now, the masterclass is our most popular. Everybody loves it. It is the most high profile workshop. We do recommend that you take 1 to 2 main section workshops first. Even this image that landed Nick Seth Smith, that not only winning number 7 Fashion Photographer of the Year award, but he made $20,000 on a wedding. Then they booked him again for another $20,000 wedding from another friend that he met at that wedding, of that high level client. All came from this image. And if you guys want to shoot images like this, this is high profile stuff. And our Elite Masterclass is, I think, almost completely sold out. The final spot is probably going to be gone by tomorrow. So if you guys do want to do that one, that will be closed up by tomorrow. That is our absolute, almost over the top and ridiculous massive scale production workshop of the year. It's a 5-day experience, both fashion and lifestyle, and each day is completely different than the next. And we actually work with you to art direct, and you get to develop the creative concepts and be a part of the process and the development of what we actually shoot. That's why you can see all this incredible creative work, including images shot at a water studio with horses and amazing dresses, or epic lifestyle images shot on location for lifestyle photography at the highest level. So if you guys, or something like this, where we shot at the circus, the LA Circus, just mind-blowing fashion photography. Or like this, where we shot the Mad Max story that we just did this past year, that we shot the Mad Max fashion story here in LA, out in the desert. In fact, that airfield shoot was shot the day before this shoot out in the desert, which is pretty awesome. So each shoot is completely different than the next. The styling, the location, the production, it's so over the top. It's on a scale like none other. So if you guys want to take a part in this, I would love to discuss it. And we can, and if you do set up one of those free photographic sessions with one of our consultants, they can also give you more info on that as well. Anyway, guys, we are here, and I want to make sure at this castle that you guys realize this is high profile destination weddings. these are the kind of clients that you're going to want are the ones that are coming here. And I want to help you every step of the way to be able to achieve those type of shoots and to be able to make more per shoot, have to essentially make more and work less and be a more high profile photographer, going to the most amazing places in the world. That's what this is all about. And use and incorporate all the strategies we talked about during this webinar. And I tell you what, you will drastically be able to increase your prices, earn more money, and do the photography you've always wanted to do. I look forward to seeing you guys here in France. Au revoir.